welcome to the For Your Thoughts podcast, where psychology, pop culture, and self meet. I'm here with Alaina from the Vital Money podcast. Thanks for being here.
Very excited. Thank you.
Yes, and thanks for putting up with me and my crazy week. I appreciate that.
We all have.
Right. So we started the podcast off with a listener letter, and you'll help me answer the question, and then we'll get into the actual pod as well. So
Okay.
It says, "Dear Pennie, I am dating this guy, and we don't really know where things are headed. He's met all of my friends and is super close with them, to the point where he's in their DMs. It seems friendly, but I don't know why it feels weird to me. Am I overthinking it? What should I do?" Do you want to go first, or should I go first?
You can go first.
Okay. I would say that, let's see. I would say I wouldn't overthink it and think like, oh, he's being like weird or shady or trying to, talk to them. But I will say it's a little friendly for me. It's kind of like, if you were my boyfriend, then that means you're gang. So of course you can talk to my friends, whatever. But if we're not like together yet and we're still figuring things out, I want to know. I don't want you that much in my life, in a sense. You know what I'm saying? It's like there should be some distance there. So for me, it's a little bit friendly, but I wouldn't be like, oh, he's like, being an F word or anything like that. What do you think?
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I think it's really all about boundaries. So I think the listener should definitely set those boundaries and have a discussion with her partner. But for me, I think like I don't know. I feel like when you're like getting very serious with someone, I think maybe down the road, like years or something, that could be normal, but I think that's kind of weird in the beginning. So I would just maybe have a conversation and see like where the intentions are, and then talk to the friends and see kind of like what the conversations are. Just monitor, just take notes.
Yeah. Why would you say that it's kind of weird, like until marriage? Like, well, what's your reasoning or luck?
Um, well, I mean, maybe not necessarily to marriage, but maybe I like before we have like really established like what we are. So I think
Right.
it's, unless he's asking about me, I don't understand
Exactly.
like what do you have to talk about?
Not for real. Like, are y'all
So
planning my surprise birthday party? Like,
that's it. That's all the conversation we should have.
nah, I feel
So
that.
yeah, so I would just like really ask about what the conversation, what's going on in the DM, like what's the
Like, why?
conversation happening and
Why are you doing
why.
that? Like, as a man, you should not be doing that. I get it.
Right. Why do you feel so? I mean, and I think it's a good thing that he feels comfortable with the friends, but still, it's like you should have some like respect and set some boundaries of like, these are your friends. Just like he probably wouldn't want her in the DMs of his friends. So
Right. He wouldn't
yeah.
want that at all, actually, now that I think about it. Like, men are so weird about stuff like that. So yeah, girl. So basically,
Yeah.
have a convo. It is about boundaries, and just kind of explains like, okay, we're not really together, so I don't think that you should be that close to my friends like that. It just doesn't make sense. So yeah.
Right.
All right, so let's get into it. So, okay, yesterday I was having a conversation with my coworker, and he studied sociology, and as someone who studies psychology and like really into mental health and stuff like that, it's very important to also think about the environmental factors that kind of play into our mental health. I think that money is like one of the biggest ones, and it's kind of like, okay, you can have all these steps for like emotionally, like your codependency, whatever, but it's like sometimes depression can come from not having money, like growing up, or whatever that the case may be. So this is why I think it's like a really important conversation. I would love to know, like, love to ask like who are you now, like who were you before, and like where do you see yourself going in this space, and like how did you even get here, like what's your story?
Yeah, I'll start from the beginning. So I think I was just like the very typical um go to college, get your degree, have fun, then go get a job and try to live this like big girl lifestyle. So growing up, I never was really like, there were not conversations around money, wealth building, anything. It was just don't tell your business and save. Like that's the only thing I ever learned about money. So, when I graduated college, I didn't know anything and I didn't care to know. I just wanted to go out and live my best life. And that's what I did. And I lived my best life on credit cards and
Mm,
racked up, ignored my student loans completely. And I blinked one day and I had over like $86,000 in debt. And
with credit card and school,
and
all of that
student
together. Okay.
Yes, yes. And in the end, I ended up getting in a car accident during my debt-free journey and ended up getting 14 to 15,000 more. So it ended up being over 100,000 in the end.
Wow.
Um, so this was like 2015, and I just like had this come to Jesus. I just was tired of pretending. I was tired of
Mm,
trying to juggle all of these bills and not, knowing how to do that. I mean, bills were late. Like I was tired of checking my app to see how much money I had on my credit card before I swiped it. Like
right.
just like all of these I felt like weights and shackles on me. And so I really felt convicted about it, and I had this like breakdown. And my best friend sent me a book. It was called Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey,
I've heard
and
about
she
that.
sent it to me, and it was just the first time that like money made sense in my head. And I don't know if I was just ready, or it was just simplified because it breaks down these different steps. And so from there I just like hit the ground running. Lot of ups, lot of downs, but my goal was to be debt free by 30. And that just happened in last October.
Congrats.
Yes. So that's kind of like the overview. Obviously, again, like the mental was like number one. Like I feel like that's 90% of anything you
Mm-hmm.
do, but
Mm-hmm.
definitely with money. And I feel like I had to have a strategy. I had to sacrifice a lot to get to where I am now. And now I'm just like I always describe it as like I was behind the starting line and now I'm at the starting line, like trying to build
Mm.
wealth and really build this life of like purpose and like authenticity. So that's kind of like, yeah, my story in like a overview.
Mm-hmm. So you said something that stuck out to me. Three things. One, pretending. Like, let's like start there. Like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, I just mean just again like trying to live this lifestyle. I think society, even more now than ever,
Yes.
I'm thinking, that was 2015, but I cannot even imagine graduating into today's society. It's just so everything is so loud. The world is so noisy, it's so loud. And so
Soft
we like
life, this luxury,
yes,
that.
exactly. And we are like fed to like curate our life based off of what it looks like on an Instagram post or what we post on social media. So we're always thinking through that lens of like what is like the fanciest trip I can go on so it looks lit? Like what's the best
Mm-hmm.
clothes I can wear so I look
Best
cute?
restaurants.
Yes, the best restaurants, even though I'm gonna only order an appetizer because I can't afford the meal. Like
Mm-hmm.
we're always
But
thinking
still there though. Yeah.
but still there because we have to get it on our stories. We have to get the aesthetic
Yes.
for the Instagram reel. So that's like what I was doing in 2015. I had my own apartment, so I had to flex of being that. I'm from Dallas, but I ended up moving to Las Vegas for my first job. So and on the outside looking in, it just looked like, okay, you got it together. Like you graduated, you got this good job. And I wanted to keep up those appearances. But in reality, I had no idea what to do with my money. And I just was stuck
Mm-hmm.
because I was just, not I was missing payments and behind on things. So I just got tired of doing that.
Right.
Which it took a lot.
So I feel like that's a lot of us kind of like we will spend our last on that trip or spend our last just to go out that one night but it just honestly makes absolutely no sense if you really sit back and think about it. I think
Yeah.
everyone has like their hopefully has that coming to Jesus moment. It's kind of like I'm too old for this, like this is not
Yeah.
gonna rock anymore. So you said that your friend gave you the book. So money is something that people kind of keep private and don't really talk about, but I think it should be,
Yeah.
more talked about in a sense, especially with friends and family. So how was that conversation with you guys? I'm sure like she gave you the book for a reason. And like, what advice would you give to someone who wants like open up more or even talk more to their friend about money? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's so funny. I don't even know how she knew about that book. Like I don't think she had even read it before. I just
Mm-hmm.
think it was something like, oh, I heard about this thing. Let me just send it to you because I think she just had saw how much it was affecting me and how badly like I wanted to find like some type of solution. So it was I mean, shout out to her for doing that because it
Mm-hmm. Change your
wasn't
life.
yeah, it changed my life completely. But it wasn't even coming from a place of like, I know, so let me teach you. It was just a, like, I think
Mm.
I heard of this thing. People talk about this. Let me send it to you and see if it works. But I would say like, first of all, there's like no shame. I think honestly, debt is the normal thing. So it's normal for people to carry, out all these loans and have, taken out all this money for their cars and like these are things that not every person, but a majority of our society and our country struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's like that's why I think conversations are important like these to hear people that are just like very transparent about money to make it more normal to have these conversations because honestly like where I want to be like I don't want to be the only person in my circle to be debt
Yeah.
free.
Yeah. I heard
I
that.
want
I heard you say that on your podcast. And I was like, yes, like I don't want to be, that's not
yeah
fun. That is not
no,
fun.
yeah, you want everyone around you to like level up and it's honestly their choice, but I feel like it would be a disservice to not share the information that I am learning that I know will change it has changed my entire life, but will also change like my legacy moving forward. So I
Mm-hmm.
just think it's like start having the conversations and being real about where you're at.
And like don't come at it as like a in a preachy way. Be like, oh, we all figuring this out together. Like,
Yeah, because I'm
Yeah.
still figuring it out too. Like I'm
Hmm.
not
You don't have
I
all the
haven't
answers.
right.
Yeah.
I haven't arrived. But I think what I always like kind of preach about is like, you know, imagine like what your life would look like if money wasn't an issue. Like the things
Yeah.
like would you stay in that job that you probably don't really like? Would you need a page? Like all these different things, like we're so dictated, our freedom is so dictated by money, we give our power away. And so for me, it's not even about like just the debt. It's like literally about taking your power back and being
Mm-hmm.
able to walk in the purpose that I feel like we all have. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think those conversations are important.
Love that. So you mentioned so like freedom in a sense. One thing people think when it comes to saving money is like, oh, now I can't do nothing. Now I can't
Yeah.
go nowhere. So what are some things and tips or that you kind of went through when it came to like still being able to have a life and have fun, but also like be smart about it? And honestly, it feels better like once you do, it feels better to be out once like I worked for this, like I saved for this. So kind of like break that
Yeah.
down and how people can like switch that perspective. So I feel like that's a
Yeah.
big thing. It's like, oh, I can't do nothing. So
Right.
that's
Yeah.
sad.
Well, personal finance is very personal. So I feel like every person has like a different goal. But for me, I was super intense the first 2 years. Like I was
Like
saying
what?
I was just saying no to everything. I had moved out of my apartment. I was living in Vegas and I had an uncle who lived there, so I asked to move in with them. I worked extra jobs. I was like freelancing, writing. I just did everything I
Like you
could.
went in.
I went in,
Did you
but
have? Sorry. Did you have like a goal, like a timeline in mind or a goal in mind? Like you're like, I'm gonna do this for this long or this.
well, yeah, I so when I
Mhm.
started, I was 25 and I wanted to be debt free by 30. That was like my goal. And like my friends joke, they're like, we remember like literally walking in your room and you had like your debt on the mirror. I like
Yeah.
wrote it on the mirror so everyone
Hmm.
knew how much it was because I was just like I wanted to see it every single day. I wanted to hurt, that I was like
Hmm.
hearing this. But by year like 2.5, I'm like, okay, like,
Like
you
let's
know,
chill.
yeah, like 20,000, like that's enough. Like I've done more than
That's
enough.
good. Yeah.
Exactly. So I started to get fatigued. And so what I realized is I do need to have a balance. And
So
um
you learned it like the hard way in a sense.
yes, I
Mm.
did. But I will also say though that I had such a bad relationship with credit cards in particular. I had five. And I didn't cancel like close the accounts, but I cut all of my credit cards up in the beginning. And I did go that I went like that extreme because I just had such a bad relationship with cards, and like that's how I just funded everything. And I knew that if I had even the possibility of like having a card, I would probably not stay on track. But after doing it for a while, I integrated like one card back in, and I found that I had a much more healthy relationship with that card. So some things I think you do have to address if they're big things that are stopping you from hitting
Mm-hmm.
goals. I think that maybe you do have to go extreme if this is something that you really want to do. But
Mm-hmm.
I also do think that it's important, like I talk about having a budget, and a lot of people like roll their eyes about like budgets and things like that. But you're not budgeting for like what the internet is telling you to budget for. You're budgeting for your lifestyle. So like if you like going to brunch, like go to brunch, but
And
just
put
like
that in your budget.
yeah, just have like some boundaries around that, like we would have boundaries around anything else. So I just think it's about knowing yourself, knowing your habits, and like kind of creating your money plan around that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what? So how? Like, what app did you use? Did you use a spreadsheet? Because I think sometimes like it seems like a lot. It seems daunting, especially if you're not like an Excel shoddy. I hate Excel. So it's
Yeah.
like, but I did find an app that I love. And also it's kind of like scary to sit down and really look at it because you're like, golly, like I spent all this on Uber Eats. That's actually why
Yeah.
sense. And it's like, and even to see how much you make and how much is, it's just scary. So, if you can give like a breakdown of like whatever you that you use and just like tips and stuff like that too, that'd be
Mhm.
good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, like, know your numbers. Like, it's gonna hurt that first time you sit and you look at your account and you see all the
Mm-hmm.
money you spend. You're like, oh my God. Or even just tallying up student loans. Like, I had no idea how much I owed until I
Yeah.
sat down and I was like, oh, okay, we got a we got a lot to work on.
Getting,
But
getting all those refund checks, they come
yes,
right our
and
ass.
seeing that interest, seeing how much interest has accrued, like because it was yeah, it was very hurtful.
Yeah.
But I will say so. I still to this day do like pen and paper, like to write everything down.
Really. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'll do like because I get paid every 2 weeks. So I'll do the 1st and the 15th. A lot of times I've like created this like habit of splitting my bills. So like really big payments. So I paid off my car, but like when I was paying it off, I would do like half, I would save half the first check and then save half the second check. So then it would kind of like just balance out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I do it. But
Wait, save half. So like you would split the bill. So like your okay. So the first I got it. So basically like the first check that you got, half of it went to that, and the second
Mhm.
check. So it doesn't feel so like
Right, because you
right.
know that when during the first of the month is like we get hit the hardest, you know what I mean? With like all the bills are usually due then. So what I started to do was like on the 15th, say it was due like in the with the first check, I would save half of it on the 15th and then save the other half on the first and then pay it all
Mm-hmm.
together. So that's just like something I did. But I still do that. But I use Mint now, which is really good because Mint is all in your business if you
Mm-hmm.
allow it to be, and it tells you like when they're hidden fees that you're paying for, like it'll say like, hey, like you paid, another subscription fee, did you mean to do this? Like it'll just like alert you about different things, which is really cool. And it tracks all your expenses. If you have goals, it'll track your goals. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really good of keeping track. And even like I use it at the end of the month to kind of because it'll break down like percentage of what you spent in different areas.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll kind of use that to like kind of filter through and see like, okay, you need
Right.
to chill out on fast food this month.
Yeah. I want to do
So
like a breakdown of like a budget because I did this with my brother. So basically, like, okay,
oh
so I got a new job recently and like making more money than I've ever even thought that I would be making.
yeah,
But before I got it, my brother was like, I'm kind of scared because you're not ready. Like it doesn't matter how much you make. It's really like how you manage it.
how you manage, yeah,
Yeah, so I really like we started to do like budgets and stuff like maybe 2 months ago, just because I've been interviewing for it for a while.
yeah,
So I really didn't like take into consideration like the smallest things, like it's like the smallest things they do count. So you can have a budget for like a beauty budget. You
yeah.
can have like a brunch budget. So if you could do like a breakdown of a basic categories, because that was like kind of hard for me. That'd be good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, I my budget. Let me pull this out because I got it
Yeah,
right
pull it out,
here.
honey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, let me tell you exactly what I budget for nowadays.
Hmm.
So I have like my like general expenses. So these are like the necessities. So, the house, the energy, electricity, those types of things. The cell phones, all
Hmm.
of that. Things
That's
that you know,
first. Yeah.
right? Things that you know they're gonna like you're gonna get accrue every single month. I have one for like subscription services,
Oh yeah.
music.
I don't even have that. I need to add that.
Yeah, for I have like a Canva subscription,
Me
and I
too.
have a subscription for my photography. I have a photography business, so I have like some subscriptions for that. So I have that in a category. I have gas, that's a category. Food. So food is broken up into two. One is like my grocery list because I really do try to like
Mm.
cook from home most of the week. So I'll have like a set list for groceries, but I also will have like a dining out budget.
Mm-hmm. I put it in there like realistically.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And I think it really helped me to split it up instead of doing like a big food budget altogether. It was like more helpful for that. And then I have like a fun budget. So this is
What's
like it
that?
could be, it could be brunch if you wanted to fall into that category. But it could be like a concert, or it could be like a date for yourself, or it could be going to get a massage or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But so I have a fun budget, and I really don't have like a specific things that go in there. It's just like whatever I feel like doing.
Yeah.
And then I have like a house miscellaneous like refill type of budget. So this is like refilling on like Windex and
Like
different.
going to CVS and you'd be like, dang, how I spent $200,
Yes,
like, or
it's like the
Target.
little stuff, exactly. Or yeah, like going to Target, be like, dang, I really need some sunscreen. Like
Mhm.
it's just like
Yeah.
the like random stuff that like doesn't fall into anything.
Right.
I have that. And then everything else would be like the things that, you pay every month. So like maybe your credit card, you're paying a little bit into that. Your savings,
Mm-hmm.
doing that, and I would suggest like automating the savings so you won't like second guess yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I think it's just really, those are a lot of different categories, but I think it really is like up to you. Like if you really love books, like put a book budget in there. And
Right, like whatever, yeah, tailor it to you. I think people also are like these apps don't have those little things, like make your own, and you can also add,
you
a
can,
label on the apps or whatever, and like
yeah,
make your
definitely.
own budget. It doesn't have to look like anybody else's at all.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
So for saving, you know how people, not people, me, it's
I
like
am people.
I'm people, yeah, like you can quickly transfer over like your
Mhm.
money from your savings. Like I am
Yeah.
the queen of that. I'll be
Okay, I
like,
got a
yes,
solution for you.
okay, yeah, let me know, let us know.
So that was me. I am she. I am people. I
I'm
was
people.
people. Um, that was I never had a savings because it was right there in the app, and every
Hmm.
time either I was using my credit card or I was just like, oh, I'm gonna just do $50. Like that's
Like
fine.
it ain't nothing.
It ain't gonna matter. So what I found was an online savings account. So the one that I use is called Ally,
Ally,
ALLY.
I'm writing this down too. Okay.
Yes. So Ally is interesting because it's online only. So I can't um go to a physical location,
Mm.
and it takes 1 to 2 business days to transfer.
So after about that time, you kind of
You
like, I don't really need it.
Exactly. So you really, for me, I really have to think about, is this transfer like worth it? Because I'm gonna have to wait at least a day, most likely 2 days for it to come into my account. And I have loved it, and I don't touch that money hardly ever. And you can schedule it to where if you wanted to automate like every check, it'll just automatically go over there,
Love
and
that.
that way you're not looking at it every single time you look into your bank account.
Yeah.
So I would absolutely suggest doing like an
I'm
online.
literally signing up. It's so,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it was so like good for me. And what's cool is like you can do like they allow you to do like different buckets. So you have like your online savings like as a whole, but say you want to
Mm-hmm.
do like a travel bucket, you want to do, I don't
Mm.
know, a house bucket or
You
whatever
can
else.
separate into those
Yeah, you can
areas.
separate into the different areas that you're like saving
Yeah,
for.
I
It's
always hear this funny joke that people have like a Beyonce budget because they don't never know when she gonna
never
drop
know.
something, and it's so funny
Yes.
to me. I'm like,
I was
actually,
saying that
I
the
need
other
one.
day. I was saying that the other day. I was like, I really need just like a concert only budget
Right.
because most of these artists are disrespectful and they only let us know like a day before.
Yes, and it's always yeah, no, same. And I love going like live shows. Like that would be really.
Right.
And so I was like, dang, like I don't want to spend this right now, but I definitely want to be there in a sense.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good like tab too. Um, this might be a question that's kind of like it could vary. What would you say for, let's say, a 30-year-old person, let's say they're making 60K or something like that, whatever. What would you
Mhm.
say is like a good amount to have in your savings to be like, oh, I'm good? Or, you know what I mean? Like, what does
Yeah.
that look like? Or is it vary?
It varies. I think again, like personal finance is personal. I'm always say that, but I would suggest. Okay, so I followed Dave Ramsey's baby steps in the beginning. When I started, like I'm super
Oh,
protective.
yeah. Let us know them steps
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
Cause,
yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So I'll yes, let me do that and then I'll tell you
Hmm.
what I'm doing now.
Okay.
So I was making like $30,000. So I was not like
Mm.
out here balling or anything
And
at
that's good to know because I want to say this before you go on. Like, people think it's about making a lot of money. No, it's like
all.
you can still save and live your life with with that much, you know? But
Yeah,
go
it's just
ahead.
about managing well and being creative about how you're gonna add income because I do think that when you are trying to tackle a big goal like $100,000, you're gonna have to add some income into that.
Mhm.
But so in his step, he suggests the first step is saving at least $1,000. I think like in this economy, you maybe want to save a little bit more, like maybe like 2 to 3 thousand. But
Mhm.
the psychology behind it is like we default on our cards all the time when we don't have it. So like say
Mhm.
you get into a car accident, you have to pay the deductible. You don't have the savings, so
Right.
you like default into doing your credit cards. And so it was really good to like break that habit of like relying on our credit all the time for these like emergencies and things that we say that are emergencies that are not really emergencies.
Mhm.
So if you're like completely starting out for the first time, I think that that's like a good goal to
A
start with.
thousand. Like always
Yeah,
have 1,000 in your savings for
yeah,
emergencies for
at
different
the
things.
minimum. And I think like saving that first 1,000 is really like an ego booster and like making you like, okay, like I can do
I
this.
can do
Like
this.
I saved that.
Seeing them
Yeah.
zeros. I'm like, okay, zeros.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like
And let's keep going. So then in his baby step number two is
so step one is a
save your
thousand
thousand
dollars.
dollars. Yes.
Okay.
And I would say if you think that's too low,
Do whatever
personal
you
finance is
need.
personal. So
Mm-hmm.
do whatever you feel comfortable with. So then the second step is starting to pay your credit down. And he suggests doing the lowest amount first, the lowest amount that you owe first. And this is what I did. And again, it's like a mind game. So like
Mm-hmm.
you pay, like say it's only like $300, but you pay it off and you're like, dang, like I could do this. That wasn't that
Mm-hmm.
bad.
Mm-hmm.
So he suggests like you pay the lowest, and then after you do that, you roll that into the next, and then you pay that off, then you roll that into the next, and then it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It's called the
Mm-hmm.
snowball.
Mm.
But there are other ways, like there's one called the avalanche, which is where you're attacking the largest percentage you have of interest. Because with credit cards, like it's like out of this world, it's like 25% or something
Yeah.
that we're paying. So it really does like, it's up to you how you want to handle it. But I did the smallest, and I will say like that built my confidence of like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I can do this. Like I just paid that one credit card off that I've had literally since
For years,
college. Yeah.
yeah. But it feels good once you see it's done. Yeah.
Right. So then baby step number three is to save 3 to 6 months of your living expenses. So
Ooh.
this is like not all the extra stuff, like not
Mm.
going to Miami, but like your basic like needs, and the necessities budget. What would that look like for you to live off of? And so
Mm-hmm.
you tally that up based off of like what it is that you're living, and that you would save 3 to 6 months of that.
Mm-hmm.
I and like I said, things are like really weird right now with like talks like a recession and things like that. So I'm saving like 6 and then a little bit more
Okay.
months, just because of like where we are in the
You don't know what can
economy.
happen.
You don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. What it like in the most simplest layman's terms, like what do you think is going on? Like and what do you think we should be expecting?
Yeah, it's like all over the place, the information. I just did like an episode on this. I think that I hope that it's not going to be as bad as like '08, '09, all the things that we heard about, but I do think that it will there's something coming that is going to affect the economy, which is what we're seeing now with like inflation and things being more expensive and harder to get into places. And so I think that's just going to continue to rise and rise and rise
Mm,
until this bubble. And when the bubble pops, I don't know what that looks like, but I
yeah.
just want to be ready for it. I mean, it may
Like
be
it could be
nothing.
layoffs, it could be all it could be
Yeah,
maybe
it could
nothing
be
or it could be like something.
exactly. Yeah. But I think regardless, like we made it through 2020, like we're gonna
We
be
can do
fine.
right. Okay, you're right. You're right. We made it through some
Yeah.
crazy stuff now I think about it.
Yeah. I was
Like
laid off in 2020. Like, I'm like, if I can make it through 2020, like
we can do anything.
it's fine.
Right. No.
So,
So
but
okay.
be
So back.
smart though. I
Mhm.
would say be smart.
Okay. So back to the steps.
Yes.
Okay.
So if someone had like 60,000, in their and making 60,000 a year, yeah, I would say if you feel comfortable with like where your debt is, because not everyone's goal is to pay off all of their debt. But
Right. Yeah. I don't think that's one of my goals. I don't know why I'm like. Sometimes I'll be like, I'm gonna marry somebody that's gonna pay off everything. I'll be thinking that in my head. Although I don't want to be that girl, but I just be like, maybe. Like,
maybe,
yeah,
maybe.
I don't know, and I just don't really just think about it like that. Although I should not say that this is a bad, but like you said, that's not everyone's like goal.
Yeah, it's not. I think that's why it's important of really defining like what does freedom look like for you.
Mm-hmm.
And if this is something that is getting in the way of that, then I do think that is something that you should work on. But if it's something like you just like I'm Gucci, like I'm okay, then it's like that's fine. So I never like want to push like one idea on someone because again,
Mm-hmm.
like everyone is different. But yeah, I would say define, what your goals are, but I would say save at least 3 months. And if you want to be conservative, like 6 to 9.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
and that's how much I would save. So then the rest of the baby steps, I think 4, 5, and 6 are all together. And that's like contributing to a retirement, paying off your home, and saving for your child's like college fund.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's when I kind of like verge off a little bit from the steps, but it was
Mm-hmm.
just like really great to
But
like
those
help
first
you get
three, like
started.
that's good. That's a good like starting because like, okay, how much am I supposed to actually have? Like, what does that
Yeah,
look like? Because we're not in each other's accounts. We don't know what that looks like. But $1,000, start there, and then 3 to 6 months. Like that's a good way to
yeah.
think about it.
Yeah. So it's a good like base to start, and then based off of
Mm-hmm.
like I mean, I encourage people to like listen to other podcasts, like listen to YouTube videos and read books. Then you'll be able to tailor it to where you want to go.
Mm-hmm. So with credit, so I didn't know much about credit at all. I'm first generation Kenyan, so my parents didn't know much about it. I don't
Yeah,
even know if they got credit cards. I don't know. Like,
that's a blessing because that ain't my story on my family.
yeah, but also it could be a thing as to well not having credit at all because
Yeah.
you don't have a credit card. So what have you found? I don't even know like what's the best way to build it? Like is it paying
Mhm.
that minimum or is it paying it all off? Like there's so many different like stories of how to do that. But I'm like what's accurate or
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so I'll tell you the biggest things that affect your credit in a positive or negative way. The first one is how long you've had your credit cards for. So the longer you've had your cards open or like any line of credit, the more they will reward you for that. So this is why in the beginning I told you I cut my credit cards up, but I did not close the account. So there's
Mm.
still like an account I have that I opened my freshman year of college. It's like 11, 12 years, probably longer than that. I've been out of school for so long. It's
Me
old,
too, girl.
yeah. So that coupled with your making sure that you don't have them maxed out. So if you can pay them down, I would say like below
Maxed out means like you spent the whole amount
everything.
that they gave you.
Yes, and you pay
Okay.
your minimum, and it gives you a little bit back, and then you
Yeah.
just
That's called maxing it out.
yeah. So that's
Oh,
max
I didn't even know that.
out.
I would always hear people be like, "Oh my god, you maxed out your credit cards." I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah, that means they don't push it all the way to the limit. They will go and get declined.
Okay, okay.
um, so the more you max out your cards, the more you're penalized for it of taking out too much debt and using it's like debt utilization is what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
So I suggest like below 30% of like that total. So if you keep it like below 30%, they will award you for that. And
So
so
below 30% of the total that you spent, or the
of the
total they
max of the
gave you,
card.
the
So
max.
say
Okay.
so say the limit of the card is 15,000. If you do like 30% of that, like that's like the range that you should like spend and like try to keep it
And
between
also try to pay. Yeah, okay.
and paying it down. So that's like why I suggest like knocking out your credit cards first because the they reward you for like paying down your credit. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but they penalize you for closing your credit, which is so as I
Which is
started
so wild. It's like, what if
it's
I just don't want it no
wild.
more?
It's literally like y'all want to keep me oppressed, but okay.
Yes. Giving oppression, like
Literally. Yeah. So when I paid off my so my credit started to go up as I started to pay down my credit cards. But when I paid off my student loans, my credit did go down for a little while. And now it's
yeah.
starting to like build back up again. But I just got penalized because those accounts closed. But for that I
Mm.
was like, it's
Mm-hmm.
fine.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
that
Yeah. So
makes
I would
sense.
start there. I would start there as the big two. There's definitely like other ones, like little other rules and stuff, but those are like the definitely like the biggest.
Yeah, I feel like I never know. Am I supposed to just pay the whole thing? Like, what am I supposed to be doing with this? Like, am I supposed to?
Right.
Is it okay to spend it all, or is it? Yeah. So that was extremely helpful.
And another thing is you taking out too much credit at one time. So if you say you apply for like two credit cards, you get a car, you apply to have a pre-approval for a house, like you're just
Mm-hmm.
doing a
You're doing
lot.
too much.
You're doing too much, it's gonna ding you for that too. So
Mm-hmm.
that's another thing.
I found that like a lot, like when people are wanting to buy homes, like that's when everything comes up, like in a sense of the credit and stuff like that. Even if you like have all the money and everything like that. So so I guess how do we avoid that? I guess just pay attention to what's on your credit and stuff.
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
debts and your all that.
Right. So it's called debt to income, and they factor everything. Like they factor your student loans and all of that. Like,
That's what it
even
is.
you've been made up in your mind, like, well, I'm not paying them. Like
Right.
they don't care.
Oh, you
So
right. Now, okay, I'm gonna pay him now. Okay.
yeah. So it's important. So it is important to work in paying down your debt because that puts you in a better position for getting approved and getting more money approval. So yeah, I would definitely suggest that. And honestly, this is like really sad, but people just treat you better. Like when your credit score is better,
Yeah, that's crazy. I believe
I
it.
promise you, it's crazy. When I was going to get my car, I've never done this before. I'm going in by myself. I'm this like young looking black girl, and I just
Hmm.
got treated the first dealership I got treated so bad until they checked my credit score.
And then their whole thing switched
So
up.
everything
That's
switched
so
up,
crazy to me.
and
That
that's
kind of
how
goes, yeah, because that goes into everything, even just not even credit, but just like when you see someone with the bag, but they might not have nothing
nothing.
in their account. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, but it's just like they get treated
mhm,
better, or it's like okay, like they got their steps together, but that could definitely not even be the case.
right.
So my question, and I know you have a hard stop, which we have to do this again because I have hella more to talk about. Yeah, we'll do it is like when do you think, so of course people are buying, the Birkin bag this, Birkin bag that, and just
Mhm,
luxury lifestyle this, like when do you think it's appropriate to start buying designer, like you know what I mean? And
mhm.
it isn't designer, they say it's, I've never been that girl, but I know that I will, some, yeah, I'll buy it one day, but I've never really
Yeah,
cared that much. But they do say that it's also
an investment.
an investment, exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I would say if you, okay, this is might be controversial, but I just,
Okay. Shake
if
the
you,
table.
yeah, if you can't afford it, if you can't afford to put money inside, like, why am I carrying a Chanel bag around when I can't afford to put anything in the Chanel bag? Like,
Right.
I think it's just, it really is all about priorities. And it's not saying like you can never have that, but like you're saying, like, this is a goal of mine, but there's so many more important things right now that like I'm trying to focus on and do to put myself in a better situation. So for me, I'm not saying like never have it, but I'm saying of like, what are your priorities? Like, are you doing it? Do you want the bag because you want to flex, or you want to feel like you're someone, or you want people to have a certain perception of you?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's like so much time to do that. And honestly, I rather have peace of mind. I will
Mm.
feel like I got laid off during the pandemic. I by day I'm a publicist, and we're always the first to go.
Oh,
Like
I did not
PR,
know that. Yeah, I didn't
yeah,
know that. Yeah.
yeah. PR
Oh,
is
because I'm
always
in
the
like
first
that
to go.
world too. That's crazy.
Oh,
Okay.
cool,
Yeah.
yes.
I'm not in PR, but just in media and all
In
that.
that
Yeah.
world, yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I hadn't even paid off all of my debt yet, but I had paid off so much of it, and I started to hear about the pandemic, so I started to kind of tailor it back, paying off my debt, and started stacking my savings, because by then I was throwing so much money into my savings. By then, this was like year
Mm-hmm.
four. And I will tell you, like, I got laid off, and it was just scary for the fact that like I didn't know what was next, but I had peace of mind knowing like I could
Yeah.
still pay
Because
my bills.
there ain't no way that everybody with them bags student loans are paid off. I know
No,
for a
absolutely
fact.
not. Yeah. And I mean, I literally have a conversation with friends where they're like, "Girl, look how much I spent last month," and it's just like, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
no." But so yeah, I would just say like, what are your priorities, and like really asking ourselves the question of like, why are we doing the things that we're doing?
Yeah, that's such a good ending
Yeah,
because it really results into it's much deeper.
it's so much deeper, and I think a lot of it is just like unfulfillment and like not being content with our lives and like what we have, so we try to fill it with like stuff and experiences. And again, there's just so much societal pressure to be that girl,
Yeah.
to live that soft life, and all these like different terms, and I feel like every person deserves that. But
Mm,
I don't think that I don't want that life if I still have to pay all these people every single month. For me,
yeah.
luxury is freedom. Is
No,
the
for
freedom to
lunches
buy that
exactly.
bag.
I used to not really understand like the Klarnas and the afterpays. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
you don't need that Fashion Nova dress, girl. If that's what
No.
you got to do all of that for this. But no, not judging, not judging. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, at all because
But I think it's
been
like,
there.
I think it's, I think money is all about like authenticity. Like, money is just like a tool. You know what I'm saying? Like, we act like it has all this control over us, but it doesn't. Like, we are the ones that can tell money where to go. And it really is about being authentic with ourselves. Like, if you like, I know, like, for me now, I do want to invest in better clothes so that I ain't rushing to Fashion Nova for
Yeah, like
every
quality. Yes,
yeah. And
I'm on that.
that's like something that I like, it just reflects me and my goals, but I'm not doing it just because everyone else is doing it. I'm doing that because it like really reflects my life and like who I am. So I mean, I want to get a bag or two one
Mm-hmm.
day, but is that like what I'm on right now, or like buying the expensive like Louis Vuittons and all that? Like, I don't want to flex just to flex.
Right. That makes sense. Okay, we always end the podcast with I asked you guys like what brings you peace of mind? And I feel like you kind of just answered that in a sense. But you can go wherever you want with it.
What brings me peace of mind? Yeah, well, I would definitely say my faith is like huge. That
Yes.
really is something that was like huge in my doing this whole journey. I think another thing that brings me peace of mind is like just like grace for myself, and
I
knowing
love
that
that.
like I'm getting up every day and I'm doing at least one thing to better myself. And I may not get it right every single day. I may make mistakes, but I'm still showing up for myself in at least one way. And I think
Hmm.
when I think about that, that brings me back to like peace of mind.
Right. I
And then
love
I would
that.
say rest, because it's so easy to like go, go, go. And again, in this culture, it's like, no, you want to be a girl boss. I build your
Yes.
all this
Right.
stuff.
LLC Twitter always like
Yes,
it's like I want to go to sleep. I don't need to wake up at 5
literally,
a.m.
I'm like,
Like
okay, I like wrote one idea down. I think that's enough for today. And some days you will. So like I think, yeah, just like having like that grace again to like
mhm.
rest and be present, which I'm still learning. But I
Mhm.
yeah.
Same. I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much. Definitely, she has an amazing podcast. Like, I love it. It's like my friend talking to me about money, and it's not bossy, it's not preachy, it's not holier than thou. And I can tell that this is like you went through it, which like
Yeah.
yeah, and it just has like a really authentic vibe to it, and I really do really love it. And I wish the best for you in this podcast game. And
I love it.
yeah, so definitely plug everything. And yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I really appreciate it. I thank you for this space because it's so important, and conversations like these are so important. So I'm just really grateful that you let me come and chit
Thank
chat with
you.
you.
Yes. Thanks for
And
coming.
yeah, my podcast is Vital Money, so you can follow me on there. If you want to be my Instagram friend, my Instagram name is at Hotlana, which is part of my name, so HOTLAINA
Hmm.
underscore. And
Yes.
yeah, that's it.
Amazing. Yeah. Thank you, girl. That was so good.